Hey there, movie fans. So the first thing I want to talk about today is that they released the web band trailer for Kraven the Hunter. I'll say this: I'm a little interested in this movie, not completely excited because I enjoyed the first Venom movie. It wasn't great. I actually love Venom. Let there be carnage. I know that movie's ridiculous. I can understand the problems with that movie, but for some reason I don't know. It worked for me. Venom Let There Be Carnage. Morbius sucked in my opinion, but and also it's just one of those things where I think it's trying to make these villains that are Spider-Man villains when you don't have Spider-Man is still something that's a little tough for me to get past. So it's because I like Kraven is a character I really would love to have seen in a Spider-Man movie, especially if you do that whole story on Kraven Last Hunt. This is a really good storyline in the comics. But when I put that aside, I thought this trailer was good. I like the fact that it is all rated. That's gonna definitely show the villain be more violent than Morbius or Venom. I thought the accent looked good. I like Aaron Johnson. He's a great actor. I noticed that he kind of lost the accent with the character, so I thought that's a little weird, but it didn't bother me honestly all that much. Him not having an accent. The only part of the trailer I wasn't really a fan of is the fact that they show the lion's blood. I guess a radioactive lion's blood gets into his body, and that's how he gets his powers. Which is that's one of those things where I'm like, it's a little goofy, and it's kind of makes me go uh, that's one part of the trailer I wasn't really a fan of. But overall, the action looks great. I like seeing Russell Crowe in it playing the father of the villain. So it overall I thought it was a good trailer. It's not one of those trailers I was wowed by, but I thought it was a solid first trailer for this movie. Hopefully this is one of the better villain movies with Sony and not Morbius, which I thought just sucked in my opinion. But yeah, I'm excited for this movie. Hopefully this is one of the good ones. The next thing I want to talk about is Kevin Smith has seen the Batman Forever, like the longer, darker cut of that movie, and he's going to review it. Now, I'm interested to check out his review for that cut because even though I'm not a big fan of Batman Forever, one of the issues with that movie I have is the tone. The tone of that movie at times feels really goofy, silly, like something of the tone of the Adam West Batman show. And I know after Batman Returns, the studio wanted to go more of a fun route with Batman. But the problem Batman Forever always have is that half the movie feels like it's trying to be this in-depth, dark, psychological thing into Bruce Wayne about why he wants to be Batman, and other half the movie feels like with the villains, like this goofy, over-the-top, silly, colorful movie that just really didn't work for me. Like the tone just feels way all over the place in that cut. And there's other things I'm on a Val Kilmer. I'm not he's not really one of my favorite Batman. I don't, his Bruce Wayne comes off boring to me, and his Batman doesn't really come off imitating at all. I never feel scared of him as Batman in that movie. And at the end of the day, I still don't like the villains in that movie. I still think Riddler and Two Face are way too over the top, and not a fan of Jim Carrey and Tommy Lee Jones as Two Face. They feel like cartoon villains to me. So I don't know if this cut's gonna fit that or fit everything about this movie. But I'll be curious to check it out. Because even though I'm not a big fan of the movie, the movie's fine. It's not I don't dislike Batman Forever, but also to me, it's not one of my. It's not a movie that I love either. But I'll be curious to check out this darker cut. And I know you can find some deleted scenes on YouTube. There's a deleted scene when Bruce Wayne is in front of a giant bat, so you can tell there was a darker version of this movie. But hopefully, this gets more of us to release this darker cut because I actually would be curious to check it out, just as a film fan, to see if it improves my opinion of the movie. Next thing I want to talk about is the director Blue Beetle confirming that this movie will be part of the new DC universe. And I know James Gunn said a recent comment where Blue Beetle will be part of the new DC universe. I actually think this would be a good idea. Now, I do think the director saying this, confirming this, doesn't necessarily mean 100% that's going to be part of the new DC universe because at the end of the day, this movie still needs to succeed. And right now, I don't know how it's going to deal with the DC, how the DC movies are doing right now. But I'm really hoping it does well because if this turns out to be a really fun, great movie, This is a movie you can easily plug into the new DC universe because, in my opinion, you reboot everything but Pupito. If that's like if you had to pick one movie in this current DC universe that started Man of Steel, in my opinion, you pick Blue Beetle because from what he's saying, it's not connected to any of the stuff that started with Man of Steel. And I think he's the one character you can just plug into the one movie you can plug into the new DC universe, but it not be connected to anything part of Man of Steel that started there. That would be just an easy way to like plug him into the new DC universe. So I hope this movie's really good. I hope I hope this Blue Beetle becomes part of the new DC universe. But I just hope hopefully it's a really fun, great movie though, and it does well. But I just thought it was nice to see the director say this. Yeah, James Gunn saying his recent comment about Blue Beetle too. So I definitely think what will happen if this movie succeeds. The next thing I want to talk about is Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part One. Apparently, the reactions have been great for it. I love hearing this because I love Mission Impossible 3 from Beyond. Like, I enjoyed the Mission Impossible movie, but I didn't think it was great. It was a little, like, it's kind of dated for me personally. It's one of those movies that, like, is fun, but it's not memorable to me, the first Mission Impossible movie. Mission Impossible 2, I hate it, but Mission Impossible 3 is where I really started loving the franchise, and then since then, this franchise has been fantastic. So I can't wait for this movie. And apparently, one of the reviews was saying like it's one of the best movies of the year. It's saying it does tell a complete story, which is I'm glad to hear that because sometimes with two-part movies, it's left on a cliffhanger, and I know people get annoyed by that. I know, like I love the Spider-Verse movie, but it was left on a cliffhanger where I can see why some people maybe got annoyed by the cliffhanger of that movie. Like Infinity Saga to me is a great example of doing two-part movies where you tell a complete story with the first movie. It's not a cliff. It's not left on a cliffhanger, but you still have more story to tell, but still able to tell a complete story. So I love hearing that Mission Impossible sounds like it's a season in that area, and it just sounds like a great movie. So I'm really hoping this turns out to be a great movie for me because I can't wait for this movie. So that's all the movie talk is today. Until next time, movie lovers.